Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with bassist Michael Herring and guitarist Don Scott of the Toronto-based jazz quartet Peripheral Vision. We caught up with them in the early throes of the COVID-19 lockdown to talk about this new world and their latest 2020 CD, Irrational Revelation and Mutual Humiliation. It's a double album celebrating more than 10 years of the collaboration that is the JUNO-nominated Canadian jazz outfit. The future is hopeful, and they have a great story. Enjoy.
We're in. We're golden. All right, gentlemen. Are you guys both in Toronto?
We are. Yeah.
Okay. I just got to tell you right now, one thing that I will never do in the future, which I may have jinxed some things, is I remember hanging up the Royals 2020 baseball schedule probably a couple weeks before the season started, and then for a joke, I put a Houston Astros sticker on my trash bin. So I hope I didn't have anything to do with all this bullshit that's going on. I was just seeing all the about the beginning of the season, and here you go. So,
yeah.
But I guess the only thing that I karmically did to redeem myself is I was talking to Ernesto Cervini probably around early March, and I had an autographed copy of the Joe Carter Sports Illustrated after Toronto won it, because Joe Carter, funny enough, used to live in Kansas City. So I was at a charity game when I was a reporter back in the day, and got him to sign it, and I just moved, and I'm like going through all this, and I'm like, the thrill is gone. I said, Ernesto, do you want this? So I put it in the mail, and in addition to that, he had a song about Cito Gaston and said he'd been trying to track down an autograph, and I found an autograph card. So I had a whole, opening baseball season package I sent to him, and then, boom, quarantine begins. So,
whoa. Well,
anyway.
Sure, it can't be you then. Your karma is squeaky clean, and if not, in the positive. So
right, yeah, I should have redeemed myself for what the Royals messed up in 2015. I redeemed it in 2020. So,
great.
But at any rate, let's talk music here. You have a new album, Irrational Revelation and Mutual Humiliation. Talk to me about this project, and more specifically, how bittersweet it is for it to come out during a pandemic when you actually can't do anything live.
Two-part answer. First part, the project is a long time in the making. It's music that we've been touring for quite a long time. That's why there's so much of it. And it's music that we recorded and then took a long time to work together in the studio with Jean Martin. So we did a lot more kind of post-production kind of stuff than is on a normal, quote-unquote, normal jazz record. So we had a really great time, especially Don did a ton of guitar overdubbing and making of crazy sounds with Jean in the studio. And then in terms of the bittersweetness of putting it out in a pandemic, it is a real drag. It stinks to not play. Tonight's supposed to be our CD release concert, and it stinks not to be playing that. And we're supposed to go on tour in Germany in a couple of weeks, and it's really not fun to have to cancel that. But it's been really rewarding that there's been a really positive response to the album already, and it's been out for 5 days, and I've been really thrilled that people have been so positive about receiving such a sort of monster of a project we put out. So that's been the sort of silver lining.
I've been doing interviews pretty steadily since this began. I mean, I've always done interviews, but I think I've done more since this has gone on. And every week there's new revelations that I have about, music and the world, jazz. I mean, we're all figuring things out. But I think what you just this interview right now, I realized something. I always ask how jazz is doing. And every time I talk to all of you cats about what you guys are having to cancel, it confirms how good jazz is doing. It's staggering for just one group or one musician, the amount of things that are getting canceled. I understand how horrific it is, how bittersweet it is. But at the end of the day, what I get from all of this is that this world of jazz that's been constructed and led up to 2020 is just going. Whether you're going to Europe or Canada or America, it's like you guys are canceling staggering amounts of things. And it just seems like it's going to get back there. Jazz is improv. This isn't a profession where you guys get into it for money. So it has to be something where you guys are going to rebound in a crazy way.
Yeah, I hope so. I think everyone who's doing it, as you're saying, is a labor of love. No one's making modern jazz because they're hoping to get rich and famous. So, because we love to do it, and Nick Fraser, our drummer, just did an interview, and I was listening to him talk about some different stuff, including this album, and he said this is not solo music, this is collaborative music. And so the bitterness of it is that we aren't collaborating right now, but we all are dying to. So I'm sure the first chance we get, we're going to be chomping at the bit to get going again and collaborating and making music together.
Absolutely. And furthermore, it's been quite heartwarming to hear from so many of our friends and fellow musicians talk about their experiences during this time, even though, there is that bittersweet, mostly the bitter part of people having to cancel a lot of work and a lot of tours, and, their projects are on hold or CD release shows postponed. But people need to be making music, and we're hearing of a lot of people that are trying to adjust around this situation, and they're doing lots of live performances solo on various platforms or finding ways to collaborate in different ways. And that's pretty cool. It just goes to show to the strength of our community, both at small in our town and at large around the world, that people are not stopping what they're doing in the face of all of this.
So what good memories on stage and just being together as a group? You're JUNO-nominated. You've been around the block quite a bit. What memories, good memories, magic moments on stage are you drawing from in this absence of live jazz that's really keeping you strong, keeping your chin up?
I guess there's lots of different memories. I suppose, what would it have been? Maybe, 5 years ago when we started touring in Europe. And some of those memories, I guess, literally are popping up on our Facebook feed saying, hey, remember 5 years ago? So we are getting to relive some of those photos and such. But then just some of those experiences of, especially while on tour, getting to play this music night after night, which is really our sweet spot because the music is so collaborative and it grows so much when we get to play it daily. So those are really the memories I'm drawing on, is just the gig after gig and all of the time spent in the tour van discussing the music from the night before and what we're going to try differently tonight. And it's kind of a whole package rather than just an on-stage memory for me. I don't know. How about you, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the magic of playing music is the surprise smile that comes when you do something at the same time, or the laugh when something kind of falls apart and turns into something new, and so it's not even I was trying to think, is it that large concert we did, or is it, but actually it's more just thinking about it's the more intimate thoughts of what we share musically, the four of us, that happens, that's what I miss, or that's what I think about, the kind of magical stuff that happens in between the band, that's what I love, and that's what I love about Peripheral Vision, and it's why we've kept doing it for so long.
So eventually we'll get back to live music. The musician will get back on the stage and the audience will get back in the crowd. What revelations do you hope that we all collectively get from this absence, this time away?
I'm personally hoping that it sort of renews in people a hunger for seeing art live. There's maybe a slight tendency for people to be staying at home and consuming things on their computers and such, but once we've been stuck inside for so long, people are going to want to get back out there and feel the energy in a room and, see the interaction between musicians and, be with each other in real space. So I'm hoping that when the scene bounces back, it's going to bounce back stronger than ever, and people are going to have a renewed appreciation for music and art. And that is my hope.
Yeah, I think it's all about community, I think especially in jazz, it's because it can be a kind of a smaller music, so there really is a community amongst the listeners and the players, and sometimes the listeners are other players, and I think it's sort of a microcosm of the larger world that I hope we're learning how important community is, both in terms of sharing art with each other and looking after each other, looking after your friends and your neighbors and your fellow musicians and all of your, each other in the world. So it's kind of my dream that we bounce back, stronger as an artist community and stronger in the music, but also stronger as people and looking after each other. I hope we can kind of all learn as societies to do that better as we come out of this.
How would you describe the band? You have a PR release, you have a bio, you have all those things, but in your words, how would you describe this band that you have?
We're a bunch of fairly introverted musicians who like to make a fairly loud noise. It is really, we always use the word collaborative in the written stuff. Like it's really like group improvising. You know, whether it seems like normal jazz where you know, me as the bass player, Nick as the drummer are kind of, if we're all playing sort of traditional roles, there's still always the option for anyone to do anything. It's really, you know, the hierarchy of the pyramid is really flat. And so I think the exciting thing about the band is sort of anything can happen. And I think on this recording that kind of came out that there's lots of spontaneous things that got captured on the record, and it's exciting the way anything can change quickly in the music.
After this is over, let's say you guys come to Kansas City and you got to write up a little, very short, almost Twitter-style release about what a live music experience is like from you guys. How would you explain that?
Ooh, Michael, I think you'll do better at this than me.
It's a really energetic jazz show that mixes up like some of the sort of 70s fusiony or rock sounds with some of the 60s traditional jazz sounds. And even though it's got free jazz elements to it, it's also really engaging and listenable. How's that?
Gentlemen, yeah, I dig it, man. Yeah, hey, thank you for talking about music during probably one of the most unique, extraordinary times that any of us human beings have ever experienced for a long, long time down here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much
Joe.
for reaching out to us and wanting to talk about this and keeping jazz alive on the radio and, keeping the positivity going.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in America, Canada, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Don and Michael for their time and their story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.